right, it is Tuesday, the 18th of February, 2025. Taking the scenic route for a change. I think that's important. Just went by. My buddy's buried back there. Man, it's like 2.5 years ago. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Went to school together. I just learned somebody else I went to school with, a girl that asked me out to a dance. She used to call it the Sadie Hawkins dance, I think, vice versa, you know, reverse roles. She had asked me out. We weren't going out, had never gone out. I really didn't pay her much attention, didn't even really, I knew who she was, but didn't really know who she was. And she just asked me out of the blue, and I thought, because I've asked girls out, and they've said no, believe it or not. And when they do go out with me, they're like, whoo, last date, first and last. I don't know what happened. Wife knew better. So she asked me out, and I'm like, you know, you've been shot down before, you know how it feels, and you're just kind of like, I mean, I didn't have any, I mean, you know, I really didn't have anything for her, you know what I mean? But totally different lifestyles. I mean, she was like in band and stuff, and I was totally not in band. And so she asked me out, and I thought, well, shoot, all right. You know, she had the guts to do it, the nerve to do it. I mean, that means something. So I went. I went and did a few dances and that kind of thing. And I just find out over the weekend, and I've seen her in the, you know, like over the years here and there. But I mean, I guess when we get back to it, kind of ended, I don't want to say badly, but I just wasn't that interested in her. And she was thinking, you know, oh my gosh, since you went out with me that, you know, now we're dating. And she'd like show up in my locker and stuff. And I just kind of had this like, this isn't what I'm into. And, you know, I kind of felt bad. I kind of had to give her the cold shoulder. Because you don't know how to react when you're in high school. I don't know how to deal with these relationship things. So you just kind of, blow her off a little bit after you tell her no. And, I mean, I felt bad. So anyway, I'm dealing with all my karmic internal issues here. I find out that she, over the weekend, I find out that she passed away. She had cancer. And I mean, I had no idea. And she had a couple of daughters, I think. And so I don't know, I just kind of feel bad, you know, that here she is, she's, you know, and I'm thinking, well, I am getting older, and, you know, I can count on a couple of hands, maybe a foot, how many people, you know, are no longer with us, or I should say, look at something for sale here. That's what I was going to talk about, for sale stuff. But anyway, before that, finish this up. Yeah, you just never know. As you get older, a lot less people around. So anyway, yeah, she passed away. So, blessings. Anyway, houses. Yeah, I was looking at the DC housing stuff. The average price has dropped by over $100,000. There's a crap ton of houses. That's an official term. A crap ton of houses for sale. There's my buddy. He's got cabins back there. The one that just passed away 2.5 years ago. Got some nice cabins set up. That's what I need at Westwood. Cabins like that. Yeah, the housing market in DC, you know, all of a sudden people are a little afraid that might be out of a job. You know, all this overpaid jobs that they have there where they don't do a lot of work, apparently. It's being found out. We are getting a little scared out here. Might have to sell our homes. So that might put a dent in that high dollar market. One of the highest, richest counties, I think. Several of the richest counties right there outside of DC. Imagine that. There's some nice land out here. That's why I took the scenic route home. I had to mail something to a buddy, and you know who you are. It's in the mail. I'll send you the tracking number. And so I got that in the mail. And so I thought, well, shoot, I'll fill the tank up with some fuel, you know, top it off. It was like $3.89 for premium, 91 octane. What about these gas prices supposed to be coming down, son? What's going on? I see the price of oil's coming down a little bit since the election, but about the gasoline, what gives? I'm sure that's all getting fixed, and tariffs and whatever else, that's going to take care of that problem. But DC, yeah, Elon is talking about auditing the Fed. And see, this is the funny thing about owning a social media platform, X. He can talk all kinds of crap. You know, he can put innuendo out there and says, oh, sounds like a good idea, you know, that kind of stuff. When is it really in an official capacity? Do we really know? You know, and everybody's talking about, oh, we're going to audit the Fed. Then it floods the other day. Oh, see, can't audit it. Got flooded. Now, this could go one of two ways if it gets audited. Ron Paul's always wanted to audit the Fed. I said the Fed. Yeah, the Fed. Fort Knox. Got to audit Fort Knox. They got flooded. Ron Paul's always talked about auditing the Fed. I think even auditing Fort Knox, you know, where the gold is. Okay, this can go a couple of ways. What if you get in there and there's no gold? Then you have to say, well, who sold it? And does that affect the dollar even? I don't think it does. I really don't. I mean, because it's not pegged to gold anymore. It's not redeemable. It hasn't been since August 15th, 1971, when Nixon took us out the gold window. That closed it. So I don't know that really makes a difference if the gold's not there. You know, you can always come up with the excuse, well, this country owes this, that owes that, and then that opens up the whole discussion of, well, we've got all this gold in, like Mick Swear always says, road to Ruta theory, we've got all this gold in these mountains. We need to start digging it up. And so it's like, does it really affect the dollar? I mean, I don't know that it does. So there's no gold. That's what happens. And then if the gold's there, it's like, yeah, okay, so the gold's there. Yippee-ki-yay, what difference does it make? I mean, that's the thing. You ought to, and if there's more gold, we find out the U.S. has more gold, because it's apparently, you know, all the planes coming from the United Kingdom are coming to America loaded with gold, tons and tons of gold. If we find out we have more gold, what's that do to the price of gold? Because right now the speculative play is we need more gold. You know, everybody needs to get some gold. This way it is FOMO, man. It's always FOMO. And so here's what happens. Everybody right now is like, oh man, crypto, it's just not doing anything. You know, we might be having some problems if the Fed doesn't have gold, or I keep saying the Fed, which they probably do have the gold. Third-party agency, you know, the private banks. I guess they're public, private ownership. So, you know, everybody panics. Oh my gosh, if the gold's not there, gold's very valuable. We got to get gold. I don't know that we're going to revalue into gold. Yeah, there's all that Q stuff that said gold ends the Fed, and it may end the Fed because there's no gold. I don't know. Or there's too much gold. So it depends how you look at it. Again, choose your own adventure. You know, what does it mean? What does this statement mean? Yeah, I've also heard from Q that I remember he had a post that said, look up into the sky. You don't see anything anymore. This has been years ago. No more chemtrails. Well, today, I can document it. There have been chemtrails. And I hear people talking, oh, it's so nice that there's no chemtrails out. And USAID has been, you know, put out of business and not funding chemtrails. It's like, yes, they are still around. Trust me. I have evidence, and I can look up in the sky and see it. So, I mean, a lot of this stuff, is it really happening? Yeah, the housing market in DC is taking a hit, so that's factual evidence that things are happening. People are starting to panic. People are making changes in real life. So I want to see more of that stuff. That's basically what it comes down to. I don't trust anybody and whatever their narrative is, and oh, we cut 10,000 employees, and then turns out, well, only 1,000. Come on, we've got how many millions of employees in the government level? We need to cut 90%. I keep bringing that 90% up. I think 90% of it needs to go because it's really not that functional. It really doesn't do a whole lot. Talks about it on Happy Hour. I think the Department of Education, and yeah, it's not just, you know, setting policy and all this stuff. I don't think it, you know, there's aid, but I mean, I think the school lunch program comes out of the USDA, so I don't think that's the Department of Education. But anyway, over $300 billion a year for education out of the national government? I thought our property tax and how high it is pays for all that, because we're paying for, you know, in our state schools. Private schools doesn't matter. You're paying for that top dollar. But I mean, our state schools, out of our state budgets, our local taxes pay for our local schools. Why is the federal government putting money into it? And if they have to put that much into it, and we're still getting dumber, I don't think that's a good trade-off. I mean, cut that $300 billion. The thing is, all these little cuts that we're seeing really are infinitesimal. Infinitesimal. It's a big word. Compared to what the, you know, like Social Security and Medicare. That's a huge part of the budget. Absolute monstrous part of the budget. Defense is almost $1 trillion a year. Our debt, interest on our debt's almost $1 trillion a year. It's like $900 billion a year. Almost $1 trillion a year just pay interest on the debt. I'm not sure if I'm talking right. I don't know if I said interest, but interest on the debt. I'm looking around. That's my problem. What the heck was that? Distracted. We're just distracted from talking about what we're supposed to be talking about. Interest on the debt. You know, I'm thinking about this. This is my problem. I'm going by here. I'm like, oh, he bought that house. And so anyway, I'm going to look at it while I'm talking. Interest on the debt's like $900 billion a year. $1 trillion. Imagine that. How much money, what could you do with $1 trillion a year? But instead, who gets it? Well, I looked it up. And then who holds the government debt? Most of the, I like the way they did that house. It's nice. Most of the debt is held internally, domestically. It's like 3/4 of it, I think, close to it, 70%, 75% is held inside the U.S. You know, we always hear this, well, China's going to dump treasuries, it's going to implode the economy. Japan owns more treasuries than China, and Japan only owns maybe $2 trillion, a little over maybe. I don't even know if China owns $1 trillion of our debt anymore. Japan owns more than they do, and Japan's an ally, so they're probably not going to dump it. Even if they do, what's $2 trillion when the total outstanding debt's $36 trillion? Big deal. You think that's really going to hurt us? The Fed already owns, I don't know, like something like $5 trillion of debt. They'll just print up dollar bills out of nothing and make interest on our debt that we just couldn't do on our own, but we float it and have the Fed print money to pay interest on the money that we, doesn't make sense, does it? But anyway, we could just do that. So this whole thing of, oh, the Chinese are going to dump our debt. Oh, foreign governments are going to dump our debt. Give me a break. Most of the debt is owned internally. Mutual funds, other government agencies, retirement funds, you know, mom and pop, you know, wanting a rate of return, you know, that kind of thing. Most of it's in the U.S. So if we just dump the debt, basically you're screwing the people. So what do? You just say, F it, we're not using the Federal Reserve, not using the Federal Reserve note anymore. I shouldn't even be making a video today. I'm completely off my game, man. So we shouldn't even be making the Federal Reserve note. We shouldn't even be using the Federal Reserve note. We should just print, like Kennedy was doing, the Red Seal notes, greenbacks, you know, Lincoln. Just print it right out of the Treasury, debt-free, pay off the existing debt with that new money that we print up interest-free, and guess what? There's no more interest, and everybody gets paid off. Done deal. And so then you have those $36 trillion, you know, circulating around in the economy. I mean, the inflationary effects of creating money out of the Treasury are no worse than creating it from the Federal Reserve, right? You're still creating money. You just don't have to pay it back now. It just gets created and it goes out there and it gets used. So that's what I do. Make everybody whole. And if the foreign governments, you know, that own 25% of our debt don't want to take it, it's like, fine, screw you. I mean, it is what it is. It's still useful and you can still buy American goods and services with it. We're just trading it in. You're just not going to get any interest on it anymore. It's done. It's done. You know, we're not, that's it. You find something else to get some interest on. You know, and see, that's part of the problem too. Then you have malinvestment, and then you have, nobody's like putting capital into industry, and, oh no, we'll just lock it up in government debt. Let the government be useless and create bad choices and pick winners and losers. I don't know, that's a win-win. That way, I mean, that capital is not going to be sitting on the sidelines in some black hole that's funding black ops. Let's just put that back into the economy and put it in people's pockets, and then they'll have to go out and get real interest in a real economy rather than this artificial crap that the government creates. Just a thought. I don't know. Maybe I'm totally wrong. Maybe I don't know anything about economics. I just think that that would make more sense. Then you don't have a debt, and you can operate more freely, and you're not beholden to, you know, this $900 billion overhang that then we have to, you know, we need to raise taxes and take money from people to pay this thing that, I mean, who's the benefit? So anyway, F the interest. Let's just do it right and have sound assets. I'm fine with that because that is deflationary. Hurry up and don't get hit. Because what happens is, if you've got, let's say, sound money, a fixed supply of money, like if you're on a gold standard, you know, there's a rate of return. See, the problem with gold is, if they open up a mountain, as happened with silver, you know, you find these silver mines, these, oh crap, you know, and it disrupts the supply. That's what makes this whole theory with the gold thing. You know, oh my gosh, all this gold we found out about in the Grand Canyon and other places, we got to lock that up, because if we start letting people know we have that, that's going to destroy the monetary system. Because if you're sitting on an ounce of gold thinking that, oh my gosh, it's worth $3,000, and guess what? We find out the supply of mineable gold just tripled. Like gold went to $1,000 probably. I mean, what if it went 10x and we find out, man, there's so much gold, ounce of gold ain't even worth an ounce of silver. Then what? So that's a problem. So the thing with, you know, a finite money supply, I mean, you could create, let's say, a cryptocurrency that, you know, it's based on a blockchain. It is on a blockchain, and everybody can verify it, everything, you know, and then just maybe put a, you know, if you want to have more created, based it on population and the birth rate, and or the, you know, just the population itself, however many people are in the U.S., that's how much more we create. So if we get an influx of 5% more people, well, we need 5% more money. You know, something like that, you know, that makes more sense, you know, that's tied to, you know, the people, tied to something that is stable, but, you know, still can increase. But I don't even think you need to do that. I mean, if you had sound money and we distributed it, you know, fairly, equally, however you do that, and we've got a finite supply of it, I mean, think about it. If, you know, you're based on Litecoin and everybody gets one Litecoin, which is not possible because everybody in the world could only get 0.01 Litecoin. Everybody in the U.S., it's like 0.25, I think, a quarter of a Litecoin, if you distribute it equally, because it's fixed. It's 84 million. But if you have a fixed, let's say there's 330 million people in the world and you have a cryptocurrency like Litecoin, each person gets one. Okay? Just to make it fair and very communistic. You have one person gets one Litecoin. Well, that Litecoin is not just one Litecoin, it's divisible down to 8 different digits, and you can divide it even further if you wanted to. So you have one Litecoin. That's your wealth. So that one Litecoin is going to buy probably a house, a car, you know, your retirement. So, I mean, things would get very cheap. So you get out of the mindset of everything has to go up in price. You know, the television set's not going to be $400. It's going to be like 0.000001 Litecoin. You know, something very fractional. And so the purchasing power of that asset that you have to use less of it because it's so much more valuable in all the things that are out there. And that's what happens when you have sound money. The cost of goods and services have to become very competitive because they're fighting over a small supply of money, a limited supply of money. And so that helps to maximize efficiencies. You don't start building crap and, you know, $20 million for, you know, Sesame Street in Iraq and, you know, the Middle East, that kind of thing. You don't do that kind of stuff because it's like you can't. The market does not encourage it. However, when you have an unlimited supply of money, it encourages all this malfeasance. So you got to turn it on its head and think sound money, something that's fixed, something that's finite, something that has or very limited supply increase, something that's, you know, predictable. And we know, and there's a limit to it. That's what will make things more stable, and the cost of things will go down, and it rewards people who save. Right now, if you save, you lose, unless you put it in government debt, and then you get an interest rate. But if you're just saving cash, you lose, because through inflation, more cash comes in, or more money. You shouldn't say more cash, because they don't print as much cash. More digital money, digital cash comes in, more digital Fed notes comes in. What you're holding becomes worth less, because there's more of it. All right, I am off on a tangent. I'm rambling. That's why I would look into Litecoin, because I think it's primed right now, completely primed to become the sound money for the digital age, like I've always said. Why? Well, you got a finite supply. Well, it's been running for over 13 years nonstop. Never had an interruption. Never had an issue. Always transacts. Low transaction fees. Can't bottleneck it. I mean, at some point, yeah, maybe it fills up, but it's going to be a long time. You got privacy, optional privacy, via Mimblewimble, M-Web, to where you can send it. Nobody knows you sent it. You can transact. Nobody knows you transact. Done deal. On layer 1, not a layer 2 like Lightning Network. No, it's just right along the rails, just with the blockchain. The Litecoin blockchain's been running forever. I mean, 84 million, that's all that can exist. Like I said, everybody in the world, if you divide it equally, 0.01 Litecoin. That's a no-brainer. 1/100th of a Litecoin. You can go out and get one Litecoin. Yeah, 100 times ahead of the average person. I got it back over here. 100 times ahead of the average person in the world. For 125 bucks. I don't know, it might be 130 right now. Who knows? But it used to be under 100 for a long time. Had a great opportunity. And it's gone. So, you know, you see Bitcoin struggling to stick around the $100,000 mark. And I said, I didn't think it was going to go to 100,000 this cycle. I mean, it's already done it, but I mean, not consistently. It's been under 100,000, where there's been over 100,000 in this cycle. So I think it's going to have its issues. It is having its issues. It's going to be found that it's really not the Bitcoin we thought it was. It's only the big players and vampire casino operators coin. But they want to lock it up and convince you. Anytime they're trying to convince you that hard, like Michael Saylor, trying to convince you that hard that it's something that you want them to hold or you have to buy it and it's the greatest freaking thing in the world. If you haven't used it, don't listen to those people. Start using it, understand what it is. And if it works for you. Doesn't work for me. Not at all. That's why I'm more into Litecoin. And I like Digibyte too. It will have its day. It's just that Litecoin right now is at that point to emerge and fulfill what it is. You know, Digibyte has great technology and it can be used as money too. It's got a finite supply. It's just got more of it. It's 1,000 to 1 to Bitcoin. And I mean, it's under a penny. It's ridiculous. So yeah, if you're looking for something cheap that's not going anywhere, like a meme coin's going to go to zero, I'd be taking a look at Digibyte. You know, proof of work coin. It's been around for over 11 years nonstop running. So, I mean, that says something, you know, in this world, you know, for something in this crypto world, for something that last that long and to run that long, that's a big deal. So anyway, yeah, looking at that stuff, do your own research, do your own homework on that. I'm just giving you ideas. All right. Love you all. Hope you have a wonderful day. Hope you enjoyed the rant. Now you know what I talked about, to be honest with you. But you got to trust yourself anyway. Hopefully it was entertaining to some level. Yeah, exit that vampire casino if you can. And check us out on Thursdays on Blind Dave's YouTube channel, 4 p.m. Central Time. Link is below. And then on Friday, happy hour in the bar where I'm going right now. I'm not going to be drinking today, though. But I will be on Friday during happy hour. Usually between 5 and 6 o'clock Central Time, somewhere in there on the lovely Litecoin Lisa's YouTube channel. The link is below, so subscribe, hit the notification bell, and always give us a thumbs up. All right, love you all. Have a wonderful Tuesday. Trust yourselves.